Hello and welcome to another Tech Articles. I've been a bit quiet for the last few days. I haven't written anything and I haven't published anything because I've been playing with a update to a plugin that I have spoken about before called Self-Host or Hoster by dplugins. They released an update earlier in the week that added licensing to their automatic update plugin. And I've been playing with that as a product. And it's a bargain for what it costs. I mean, you can get a 200 activation limit, and that's 200 of your sites selling an unlimited amount of plugins each for $129. I mean, it's super cheap. But what I've been doing is I've been playing with some integrations because it comes pretty bare bones at the minute. They've released licensing, but there's no interfaces. There's no there's very little you can do. There's a couple of inbuilt functions, but other than that, it's bare bones. And as with anything like this, Easy Digital Downloads wasn't designed in a week. It takes time. So I've been adding or working on making some additions to this. And I thought I'd do a video on some of the things I've been doing. This will be the first of two. I'm going to start with an API system that I've built. They're all for my own use. Somebody has actually asked if I'd be interested in selling them. I hadn't considered that. But if there is interest, I might well do. But I thought I'd show you what's actually capable with a little bit of code and a little bit of work with Hoster. So I've got a WordPress website here with Hoster installed. And if we go to plugins, you'll see what I've got installed here. I've got DevKit, FlowMattic, which we're going to use in this video, Fluent Forms, which we're going to use in this video, Hoster. This is by me, Hoster API. This is what we're going to be using in this video. My updating plugin, SureMails for emails, WooCommerce, because I need that for the next video, and WP Codebox, because I do want to activate a snippet. So very quickly, over to Hoster, and we have a new menu called Hoster Licenses. And this is what does licensing. And if I add a new license annually, you'll see. So we have to select a download. I've only got one download here, which isn't even a real download, which is an awesome product. You have to assign it to a user. It generates a license key. You select the status, which is active, and you get to pick an expiry date. That's lifetime as it currently stands. Enable activation limit allows you to enable an activation limit. I think personally, I think the same is needed for expiry date, a toggle to then activate this, because if you accidentally put a date in this, it's very difficult to delete it. And then you've got your sites that it's used on. So we're going to publish that license, and that license is now totally valid and ready to go. So if we go back to Hoster, you'll see we have a license here, and it's ready to go. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade this with another of my snippets. So I'm going to delete that. And what we're going to do is we're going to come down to WP Codebox. And I'm just going to paste this in here. And I'm going to call this enhancements. And we won't see those for a little while, but you will see them when we enhance them. And this just makes some enhancements to two of the fields that are vital here. So one is in downloads. I'm sure that's saved. It adds a little copy clipboard button to the product name so that you can, because you need the download ID, it pulls it out and puts it on here. And the other is in licensing. You'll see that it adds additional columns. It now tells us what it's for, the user, the status, the activation limit, and the expiry date. And I think that's just a nicer user interface. It means I can come in here and check. And it's going to make this video a lot easier because you're going to be able to see without me having to go through every license and show you. So Hoster API has got a admin interface, so we're going to go to that. And what this allows me to do is to enable an API, set a bearer token or generate a new token, copy the token. I can enable login, a custom name for that login, a location for that login. I can also only allow certain IPs to access this API, and it defaults to new roles of subscriber. So if we're creating a license for somebody who isn't already a member, and in this video I'm not going to do that, I'm going to just pretend we're using logged in users in an admin area. But yes, it's perfectly capable of accepting an email, generating a user, and creating a license. And then we've got our endpoints down here, which is create license and update license. There is an additional endpoint that is currently undocumented, and I do plan on adding. If I plan on releasing this, I will document it, and I think that is currently. I'm currently working at trying to get that to work exactly as I want it, and that is to retrieve license details. So that'll allow you to. In my head, the workflow for that is much more useful. You can get the user to put in their license key, retrieve the current dates, and then add the time to it without having to do it. Or you might want to use FlowMattic to retrieve the details and add the time to it. And that's why that is. But I'm not quite finished on retrieve license details yet, which is why I haven't added it to the endpoint. But it's pretty close. It works in testing, but I've still got a fair bit of additional testing to go. But this is one of the things that I've been building. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to head over to Fluent Forms, and I'm going to show you a form that I've built, and that's purchase license. And in our testing here, we're going to assume that this is in the back end. Somebody's logged in, so they're going to be a logged in user. It automatically captures their user ID because user ID is needed to assign a license. If they weren't logged in and this was front end, we could do it by email address. But then you'd have to check whether they're already a user, pull the user ID, and it's a totally different workflow. And I wanted to show you a relatively complex workflow in FlowMattic, but without having to do hundreds and hundreds of routers and iterations. So you get the idea. So I've put two products in here, awesome product, some other product. I have done nothing with some other product. It's just theirs to show that you can select more than one product. I've put length of license, and I put 1 month, 6 months, 12 months lifetime. I've assigned these a value. The value is them in days. 0 in hoster is lifetime. And we've got activations. And it's the same with activations. We've got 1 site, 5 sites, 100 sites, 500 sites, and unlimited. So we've got 1, 5, 100, 500, and 0. Now, the 0 in this case, the API accepts 0 as unlimited. So I'm going to save that form. And I've got a page with that form on here. And this is what it looks like in the supposed back end. So you select your product, your length of license, and your activations. All relatively simple. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to head over to FlowMattic, and I'm going to reload FlowMattic. And I've got a single workflow on here, and don't panic when you see it. It looks bigger than what it is. It's because I've designed this from the back to be able to handle more than one plugin. If I was going to do a form per plugin, it would be much simpler. I wouldn't need all the routers. But as you can see here, we've got our submission. We then split our task based on what they select in this field. So in this case, this branch is awesome product. This branch would be some other product. The next branches would be wherever they were. We then do a bit of date and time formatting. And what we do here is, if I show you this here, we take the drop down menu days and we add it to the current date. And this is the to format, and this is the from format. The format doesn't matter. I just prefer the to format for check-in to be UK because I'm from the UK. But I have written into the API to accept UK dates and be able to process them because it's how I work and it's for me. So that does that. Now we need a new router, and we probably don't need a router. There are other ways to do it, but I wanted a router. It's easier, it's quicker. I've separated all normal licenses by lifetime. So on this side here, and I'll rename this, we'll call this expiry, and we'll call this one lifetime. So if they've selected lifetime, it will follow the lifetime route, and the reason that is different is because the only thing that's different in this routing condition and what is sent to the API. So this is the only really difference here depending on what is selected. So what we're going to do now is we go to the API for expiry. It goes to the endpoint. We've got a bearer token. We've got our download ID, which we get from hoster, and our download ID is 154 in this case. Now, it is possible that rather than product names, you could just add in your Fluent Form editor here. You could show the values currently awesome product. You could change that to your download IDs, and then you wouldn't need to manually encode your download IDs. They are sent with you from your Fluent Form. or you could have a lookup via a function or something else. You could write a function to look them up, which is probably what I will do when I use this. And it's important to say that Hoster API is designed for those situations when I'm not using Shortcut or WooCommerce or EDD for Fluent Phone payments and those sort of situations, or where I want to, I don't know, maybe I want to give a license away to somebody that's filled in a form and done something. It triggers a webhook. I can then issue a license and send it to them. That's a little bit more difficult to do without an automator. And subsequently, why, me being me, I wanted something that worked with automators. And that's how that one works. And this one's slightly different in that our configuration is the same again. It's the same download ID. We're still taking the user ID from the hidden field from FlowMattic. We're still saying that there's no activate. We're saying there's no activation limit, and it's a status. We're saying there's an activation limit based on the activation selected, and our status is active. But you'll notice that we are not sending an expiry date, and then it will automatically assume that we want lifetime. So that's how the flow works. So what there is now to do is to show it in operation. So I'm just going to, I'm not actually going to save that work, but I'm going to just reload it and check that it's working, because I have made a lot of modifications to it. It looks good to me. So we're going to go to our form, and what I'm also going to do is I'm going to go down to our downloader for hoster licenses, and I'm going to open that on another tab here. So we now have our demo and our hoster licenses, and as you'll see, there are no hoster licenses except for this one in the bin. Let's get rid of that. And you can see the modifications that were made to the layout and why they're so useful. And they will allow you to quickly check what we're doing here. So I'm going to select in quite quick succession here, just in case, hopefully everything's working. I'm going to select awesome product, I'm going to select 1 month, and I'm going to select for 1 site. And it should return me a license key, which it has done. We're going to reload that page. And next we're going to select awesome product again. We're going to select 6 months, and we're going to select 5 sites. And again, it's returned a license key. And awesome product, 12 months, and this time 100 sites. And we're going to submit that form. And all being well, that's done. So we're going to do that again. And again, awesome product. We're going to select lifetime and 500 sites. And because we've run out of options, the next one I'm going to do is a lifetime unlimited license. And then we've done all of the permutations, and we can go and look at them in Hoster. So if we head over to Hoster now, and I'm just going to click off the page and on the page to make sure it actually reloads, because we had some issue with that before. And there we go, there's our licenses. So we did a 1 and a 1, a 5 and a 3, I think, or a 5 and a 6. There's a year, 6 months, a month, a lifetime with 500, and an unlimited lifetime license. And just like that, we have sold 5 licenses, all from a form, no trouble whatsoever. And that's how the API works. Now, I don't have a prepared option for update license or pull an example for them, but they work in exactly the same way. They will allow you to generate licenses. There's no limit to the amount of licenses you can generate through this. And again, I just want to show you just how useful that snippet is. And I will write an article on that snippet and publish that snippet. But if you look across here and across the top and what we've got, and then if I go down to WP Toolbox, Codebox, I will disable this enhancement. And then we'll go back to our licenses, and you'll just see how it's not got enough information for you. It's all good. It's all there. The information is there. It's a custom post type. But I just felt that when I want to look at this, and particularly for videos like this, it's perfect to just be able to quickly look and see what we need. It's the same with the downloads. If we go to the downloads, with it on, you can see here what we've got. And actually, another good thing about the hoster licenses is you can copy the license key from here as well, and that just copies the license key, which you can't do natively. And if I turn it off again and then we go back to download, you'll see that it's useful having the product ID on the page and being able to copy and paste it. So there's some of the stuff I've been working on Hoster. And that's how you can use FlowMattic and your own API, or if I do decide to release Hoster API, to create licenses using Hoster. Hoster's capable of creating the licenses. There's enough documentation in the documentation of Hoster to work out how to do that on your site. Open up a REST API point, put it in some authentication, and you're done. And I suppose that is the key here. This is authenticated as well. We have a bearer token here that is checked and can quickly be regenerated. So I'm going to copy that token and I'm going to generate a new token. I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to reload our form. Actually, I'll delete our licenses first. I'm going to delete our licenses. I'm going to reload Hoster. I'm going to reload this. I'm going to select a 6-month license. And as you can see, it didn't work because it is authenticated. It is an authenticated API. Whereas if I stick the API key back in, which is why I copied it, and I reload it, this time we should get a license. And there we go, we've got a license returned. So this video has been a little bit of everything. It's been a little bit of an introduction again to Hoster and the changes around licensing. It's shown you how you can use APIs if you build your own APIs, or I might even, if there's enough interest, I might even release Hoster API as an actual standalone plugin. It won't take me long to drop in my SDK and release it. So it shows you how you can use a tool like FlowMattic, and I've used FlowMattic in this demo. It would work with Bitflows, it'd work with Pabbly, it'd work with Shaw triggers, anything that can produce a post API response. It will produce this license. It is not fussy at all in how it works. It still delivers regardless of your automator of choice. So hopefully this video has been of use to you. Please do like and subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in more videos on Hoster APIs, or you're interested in Hoster API, please do let me know. Thanks for watching.